My name is AJ Sankofa, and I'm the founding partner and pastaio of ESO Artisanal Pasta. So I took the master's course, which was the longest program that they offer, and we covered everything, from appetizers to pastry to bread to pizza to amuse-bouche to pasta to meat to fish to pickled, fermented, you name it, we covered everything. So usually, depending on what it was a week to 2 weeks of each thing, and we just went at it. And we had tests, we had presentations, we had Italian class, we had like competitions, we had to make dishes. I started out like the lowest ranked in the class, because when I got there I realized just how little experience I had. The little experience I had from, getting in where I could at Jackie Hollow and working Sunday brunch versus like all the other guys and girls that were there was like, I very quickly realized like, whoa, this really cool, awesome chef's knife that Chef Kevin gave me before I went isn't gonna help me. Having a nice knife isn't gonna help you know how to use it, you know what I mean, kind of thing. The chef saw my work ethic and my attitude and like, what I was about, so he like particularly focused on, making me feel it, I mean, he would yell at me, he would, really gave it to me, but like it was great because it gave me, reason to go harder and harder and harder, and I actually ended up graduating the top of my class. I scored the highest score on the final exam, and I scored the highest score on the oral exam for Italian, and I scored the highest score on the written exam for Italian. So I went from like the bottom of the food chain to the top, which was pretty cool. There's a restaurant connected with the school. When I was going to school in Italy, every day after school, I would go work at the restaurant. I'm gonna just like get worse if I only do the minimal amount of actual cooking that we're doing in school. So I was like, all right, cool, can I just work in the kitchen? And they were like, what? They were like, why would you want to do that? Don't you want to, hang out, travel, sleep? And I'm like, nah, man, I want to work, you know what I mean? I came here to work. And they were like super stunned by that. And I was like, well, is it cool or not? Kind of thing. And so they let me start working there, and I think it was like the second or third day I was like, hey chef, can I make pasta with you? And he was like, all right. And I start, making the pastas and this and that, and he's like, kind of looking, and he's like, all right, this kid kind of knows, this and that, like. And it ended up that I just would work the pasta station there and sometimes the meat and fish station. So it put the chef in a position to where he would only have to expedite, and I would just do all the hotline cooking, basically, which was fun. We would get busy sometimes too, because I had risotto, 5 different pastas, plus the steak and the fish. So like when we would do like 40, 50 covers, you would feel it, and the way that kitchen was shaped, I had to run around, but it was fun. So I did that. That was my first internship. And then after the course was finished, I actually, via Ron Morgan, who is the original general manager of Jackie Hollow Bar and Kitchen, he has a brother named Steve Morgan, who's a big sommelier in Chicago, who hooked me up with Foradori Winery, which is in Mezzo Lombardo, which is in Trentino Alto Adige, so northern Italy, to do an internship there. So I actually went all the way up there, and I was the family meal cook, plus I would pick grapes. I would harvest grapes. So I was up there for September during the harvest. And so I did that, and tasting a bunch of wine, and then, cooking food for, that was really cool. And then after I left there, I would start my internship at Ristorante La Rosa, which ended up being the restaurant I would go back to work in. And I got that internship. I'm not wearing the apron, but there's a special blue apron that I took with me from home to go to Italy. That apron, it's a blue and white apron. It represented the late Justin Pahalik, who was one of the sous chefs at Jackie Hollow Bar and Kitchen, who passed away, who was just another big, role model, motivator, and inspirational figure throughout my career and my life. I had that apron on when this chef, Chef Andrea La Rosa, came to the school to do a little expo. He showed us a couple dishes, showed us how to make them. That's how we would get our restaurants to go intern in. And he walks in and he's got on the same apron as I do. So like as soon as he walks in, like I look at him and he looks at me, and there was like an immediate connection, you know what I mean? Because we're wearing the same thing basically. And then like when he was there, like, I was just same old me, like sniffing it, sniffing behind him, trying to see what he's doing, like getting whatever he needs before he can even think to ask, And so he really took note of that and was like, by the end of that day, he was like, hey, I want you to come work for me, during your internship. I guess I always thought a smaller restaurant you would work a little less, but in fact, in smaller restaurants you work twice as much. We were pulling, because I started in October, that's the big truffle month in Alba, which is like the truffle capital of the world. That's where the Périgord white truffle comes from. And we would work from 9 to like 3 a.m. every single day, over 100 hours a week. It was crazy. I mean, and that was before he had the Michelin star. That was right before he got the Michelin star. He got the Michelin star the following fall. So that was like the build up. Like, you know, it's pretty cool to be a part of like what built it up to become that. And then to go back, you know, it was like awesome. But just another guy that just a remarkable figure, taught me a lot. You know, another person that along the way I wouldn't be here without. So, you know, I always have to give credit where it's due. I got on the plane dressed in my chef's uniform, the one that I would wear to work at Jackie Hollow, and I went straight from JFK to Jackie Hollow and went straight to the kitchen and started working. Italy and then the Jackie Hollow days were the funnest times of my like adult life. Like, and then now this is gonna be like the next big one. Like, so many good memories, so many friends, so many companions, so many mentors, so much inspiration. Another big part of this story is once I came back to Jackie Hollow in December of 2016, Chef Kevin ends up leaving to go back to Buffalo in April of 2018, which was like huge. Because it's like, all right, this is the guy that basically changed my life, molded it into what it is. Like, we had like 3 very significant people just leave all within the same week, plus a couple managers and front of house guys and back of house cooks and sous chefs along the way that left. So like, once he left, I took on like a huge role in the kitchen. Because now it was like, all right, at that point, you know, I had learned the crudo station, I had learned the burger station, I had learned the salad station, and I would, you know, and I already had worked the hot app station and sometimes, you know, was the middleman helping out the pasta guy. So I was pretty versatile at that point. So it was like intense, it was crazy. It was super crazy. But again, like experience that I value, like I value that experience just as much as I value being in Italy, just as much as I value, you know, working under Chef Kevin, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be who I am or have what I have now if I didn't go through that, if I didn't work through that specifically.